It is the Redhawks Coaches Show from Wings Etc. in Cape Girardeau. And if you have not joined us for lunch during the Coaches Show, this is going to be your last crack at us for the next 3 weeks. We will not have any shows the next 3 weeks. Next Monday, the SEMO women will have their classroom on the court day. That'll be an 11 a.m. tip-off. And then we've got Christmas and New Year's. We've got the Southeast Missourian Christmas basketball tournament. So this will be our final show for 3 weeks, back January 6th, and we'll be back here in the Cape Girardeau location at Wings Etc., where everyone is enjoying their food. I see Joe is working on the cheese.
Queso, cheese, and nachos.
Queso, cheese, and nachos. Our buddy Ron is enjoying a delicious burger. And Troy Cole Jr., he just sent his order back, so we'll let you know what Troy Cole is eating. He'll join us a little bit later on in the show. We want to remind you, do you have the Wings Etc. loyalty app on your phone? You need to get it because that is how you earn rewards points for all of the food that you purchase. You can get the delicious Wings Etc. menu delivered through the loyalty app. It is a free download. It take you just a couple of minutes to set up your account, and then you are earning rewards for all of your purchases through the Wings Etc. loyalty app. It is Wings Etc., home of the Redhawks Coaches Show. Good food and great times. The Redhawks head coach, Brad Korn, joins us. I thought maybe there was an outside chance the sun would pop out. No dice.
No dice. After the rough week we've had, we don't deserve any sun right now. So we'll get back at it tomorrow. When we get back at practice, there'll be sun. The sun will come up tomorrow, Eric, but today not so much.
Let me ask you this question. The last two teams that you played, we were talking about it on the radio today, Lipscomb and Murray State. I would say if either of those two teams are in the Ohio Valley Conference, they would be voted favorites. They would probably win the Ohio Valley Conference. Is that a fair statement?
I think that it's obviously fair to say they would contend, and I think that we need to be in that conversation as well because, of course, league play, you get that game back at home. And really outside of a 2-minute stretch there, Eric, at Murray, we played a really good basketball game. Tied at half, could have been up. The first 5 minutes went pretty well. You know, coaches talk a lot about the first 5 of the second half. I thought we came out, and it just was a 5-6 possession window there where they just went 3-3-3 and a dunk in transition, and it went from a 4-point game, very manageable, and then it ballooned to 15, and now you're going to have to fight even harder to get it back down to where you had it at that time. So we've got to do less dribbling. We have to do more passing. And we had moments, though. I mean, B.J. Ward had a shot at the rim. And you love his floater, but for whatever reason, he decided to shoot a left-handed.
It went lefty. I don't think I've seen him shoot many of the lefty.
Nor have I. And so that's why that's surprising. And so in those moments, it's good learning for him is trust what you do. You know, and B.J. does have a nice floater, but it's a right-handed shot. So now if they're on your right hand in that situation they were, just keep going to the rim or drop it down to the big guy. So that's a missed opportunity. We had Brendan Terry on a dive. He fumbled the pocket pass, turnover. They went down and got a wide open 3 on that. The very next possession, we get BJ out, Rob comes in, and we turn it over on the BOB, and Elliott was open on the slip because they were switching a lot of stuff. Next possession after that was Elliott Lowndes got a great pocket pass again right at the rim, and we didn't convert. So those were 4 possessions right there, Eric, when the game was 4-point game. And then they came down in 3 of those 4 possessions and hit those threes, and it's just bang, bang, bang. And that's just 9 points. When you're down 5, now it goes to 14, and we got to call a timeout and get settled back down. And we never really got settled back down after that. And now we come out and press a little bit harder offensively. And now we start over dribbling. Now our offense is discombobulated. Now they go down and score another 2, and it's a 17-point game now. And so that's how that's the margin of error against those teams, the Lipscombs, the Murrays, Asheville. We've played a really good non-conference schedule. Bradley, you can't have those moments, and so hopefully this is providing some good learning lessons for us so we don't repeat those things as we enter league play, and really can close out the year on a positive note. A lot of work to do, a lot of room for improvement, but those are the areas that we have to understand as a group and have to get better, and us as coaches put our guys in better situations when those times and those situations arise.
So you're like Sean McVay, that photographic memory, the head coach of the Los Angeles Rams. He can recall every play of every game. You go back, okay, week 2, you had 3rd and 5. And he can remember. It's unbelievable. You hear him talk about stuff like that. As a coach, you remember all that stuff. Yeah. The players vaguely remember certain things, especially if it involved them. But you have the ability to break every play down with video. I know Ryan Strome, one of your assistant coaches, as soon as he got on the bus, had his dinner and he had the laptop open and he was segmenting video segments for you to show the players in practice. So you can show them exactly everything that you just told me about, because I know you remember everything, step for step and dribble for dribble, but you got to show it to the players oftentimes, right?
Yeah, absolutely, especially in those heated moments, because, again, they're emotional, and a lot of the young people are based upon if they scored or not. So, again, they may be – there's a lot going on in the game, so their minds might be on something else. And so to be able to go back and break it down, and the coaches do a great job of breaking all that down. And what Ryan does a good job of is we take it even a step further. We don't have the resources to go deep into analytics, but Alabama, there's articles out there about Alabama men's basketball. Nate Oates, and actually a manager for us at SIU, Adam Bowman, and it's kind of their he's got a certain title, but basically he's in charge of statistics and analytics. And there's a bunch of programming out there that you can buy to really show some stuff. So for us and for what we do, Ryan does a good job of breaking down paint touches, hockey assists, which is I pass it to you means you pass it to Troy. So that doesn't show up in the stat sheet that I would get the assist, but if you're making the right play, the connecting pass to the right place. So there's a lot of other things that we try to break it down for us, kind of like that 30,000-foot view for the coaches, but then really break it down to about a 3-foot view for the players so they can really understand and take some of that. So a lot of efficiency stuff. We've taken some things that actually stole some things from Coach Palmer that she does with efficiency based upon your minutes played per your rebounds, minutes played per your field goal attempts, per your points, and try to give guys just little things that they can hang their hat on. For guards, you want to be about every 6 minutes you should be getting a rebound. That's an elite rebounding guard. For big guys, about every 4 minutes get a rebound. And so if I say, oh, Eric, just go get rebounds, it's like, well, okay. And then they don't get any rebounds. But if I tell you, hey, every 4 minutes you're on the court, you need to get a rebound that's considered elite, I think that helps the player say, you know what, I think I can do 1 rebound every 4 minutes. That's not asking that much. And so trying to give them those little pieces that they can hang their hat on and bring value outside of scoring to the team and to winning, I think it helps break it down for them so they can really see it on a really generic and plain and simple level.
You've got, I know you don't refer to it as a big board, but you've got a board where you keep track of hustle points, deflections. Tell us about some of the things that you are charting.
Yeah, so we call it the Ain't Scared chart. This year we've kind of put a name on it just to be, you can't be scared to get in the mix. And when we've been at our best, the UMKC game, and we play hard, I think, for the most part, but now can we play smart? But our chart that we use 50-50 balls, so anytime that ball is loose, dives on the floor, charges taken, and deflections. And so again, it's a way to measure and to show the players, and it's a running tab. We've got a board in our locker room that actually is labeled that at each player's name, and Coach Strome goes in there and we fill it out after every single game so they can see where they stand. Now, do the players hold themselves accountable and look at it and take pride in that? That's for each individual guy to look at, but it is something that we talk about chart, and it's just a measure, another tool to where, hey, I don't have to. Everybody grabs the stat sheet right after the game, and so as coaches, we're always trying to steer away from just looking at did you score, because there's so many ways to impact the game. And so just continuing to drive that home, to continue to drive what really drives winning, and that's more than just scoring, especially in the game of basketball. I think Billy Donovan said it best. When you're playing the game of basketball, there's 95% of the time you don't have the ball. So what are you doing to help the team win? And I think that's another good way, another talking point that guys can think about is that everybody's not the quarterback. You're not touching it every single time, every single play on offense. There's 95% of the time you are not going to have the basketball when you're on the court. What are you doing to impact the game? And one of those things, too, I was at Missouri State for 3 years, and the leading rebounder in school history, the name slips my mind now, but he came and talked to the guys. He said there's only one thing that you can do in the game of basketball on both sides every single time. and that's rebound. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to impact the game and impact winning, and we just continue with all the charting and the information that we have at our fingertips, just to keep trying to reinforce those things.
All right, rebounding was an issue yesterday. They out-rebounded you by 15, but did a good job on the offensive glass. They had 14 offensive rebounds and converted those into 21 points. So their second chance points, 21-4. That's one of the biggest differences in that game yesterday.
Yeah, and then ironically too, Eric, I think we had 20 points in the paint at half.
You had more points than they did in the paint, and then they finished the game with more paint points than you did.
Yeah, and it's a tale of two halves. And again, the way that they play, the physicality that they had, Ellington did their big guy, their center did a great job of being extremely active. And I thought we did an okay job of finding bodies but not sticking with the block out and then securing the rebound. So
Ellington seems like he's one of those guys, once he gets going, because he had 4 points against Evansville. I mean, he's a 9-point per game guy, but against you, man, he was a thorn in your side all game, and he was energizing guys. The fans were getting into it. He was, getting the fans into it. Ellington I thought he was the difference maker in that. Now, Jacoby Wood was the leading scorer, but I thought Ellington was a difference maker in that game.
And I thought Applewhite, number 13, the lefty, I thought he came in and did some nice things for them and made some really timely plays. Again,
especially in the first half.
Exactly.
Right.
And it wasn't going well, but they had to call timeout. I think we got up as much as 7 in that first half. So I thought what really, really got him going was in that stretch. What really started when it was a 3-point game. They had made a little run when he got an offensive rebound and then a dunk. That was not just a regular dunk. It was, to me, that gave them, that kind of flipped the switch for them energy-wise, and they ramped up the pressure. Really turned into a really, really physical game. It was already a physical game, but it went to another level after that, and I think that really got him kind of going. And then on the block, he's had these big games, low games, and unfortunately, we didn't do a good enough job of forcing him off the block initially, but I thought we did a good job of not giving him easy looks early on off of those naked ball screens. So they'd put a 2-man game on the wing, and I thought we did a really nice job on that early, which gave us a chance in the first half. And again, to start the second half, we did a nice job, but then we lost our way in that little stretch, and that's unfortunately all it takes.
It was a 1-for-15 stretch for you, and it's not like you were taking terrible shots. Balls were just not falling. Now, there were a couple of shots that you're not going to like and you're going to highlight on video, but other than that, I mean, you just went through a stretch 1-for-15. I mean, that on the road, that's usually fatal.
Yeah, and we have not, just from a guard standpoint, we have not shot it well from 3 lately, and it just is what it is. And we've got to make shots that helps alleviate a lot of problems. When you are struggling or in those moments, we got to be able to find a way to get to the foul line in those moments. You don't have to live and die on a 3-pointer, so that's not what I'm saying. But if we're moving the ball the right way and getting some open looks, and we're missing shots. But in that, as you mentioned there, in that stretch, we got the ball where it needed to be. We harp on paint touches. Paint touches, paint touches, paint touches. We got the ball right there, down 3, down 4 times consecutively in the paint and came up empty every single time. So the message is to not, sure, we'd love to convert 4 for 4 in that situation and go up 4. On the road, that's probably not realistic. Good teams, probably not realistic, but there's no reason that 2 for 4 can't be a realistic goal and something that we should be doing, because now not only is that 2 for 4 and 4 points for us, where we got hurt was in transition, and we had 3 threes. So now if we score those layups, we settle down. They've got to take the ball out. They weren't scoring on us in half court very well. We did a nice job overall on that. And so that again, you're not asking for these astronomical play, so perfect and great. 2 for 4 on paint touches, we have to be able to convert that, and that settles the game down. That keeps it a 3-point game. That keeps it a 5-point game, 2-possession basketball game, and we survive the run because every team is going to go on that run. So that's where our team has got to grow a little bit. That's where we as coaches got to help them a little bit more. Even if it doesn't go great for those 4 possessions, even though we got it where we needed it to go, now we got to go back into our bag of sets and actions to where we can just keep driving it home. And now maybe we can survive and maybe go 4 for 4 on the next 4. score. And now we went 4 for 8 out of those opportunities, and the game is still within reach, and not let it get away from us and have those long droughts of 1 of 15.
Well, and also 1 of 15, I mean, it means defensive rebounds and a running opportunity for Murray State, whereas they're not inbounding the ball, as you say, and then you get into a half-court scenario. Everything is up and down, and that's the kind of game Steve Prohm wants his team to play.
Yeah, and we talked about it pregame. You got to keep them out of transition. And again, it's tough because it's right there. We're much better than our record shows, but at the end of the day, you are what your record says you are. So it's a little bit of both. I like this group. We're going to continue to fight and battle and compete. Outside of Bradley and Lipscomb, I think we've played really good basketball. Top to bottom, we just had a couple moments to where if we can grow in those little moments like the Murray game, I think we're going to have a really nice OVC schedule.
So Brendan Terry in the game, Coach, it was 12 points, 6 rebounds, and he was 4 of 5 from the floor, 4 of 6 from the free throw line. He is shooting a very high percentage from the field. He's a really good finisher around the basket. I'm sure you would love to see Brendan Terry get some touches against whoever it is. I mean, there are going to be guys he's going up against who are bigger, but man, he finds a way to finish around the basket.
Yeah, and we started him at the center position early in the year because he was helping the offense flow. He can do some things on the outside, but he's not a true center by any stretch. 6'7" on his best day in high heels, so he's not an overly tall guy, but he is athletic around the rim. He's a smart player. He's got to command the ball a little bit more too. I think David Idata does a great job of we say, big window when you're posting up. And I think David does a great job of showing his hands and showing his numbers to the offensive guard to where they see him and they just naturally will throw it into him. And we've got a couple other things for Davis for guys that aren't the best back-to-the-basket type of guys to continue to play once it goes in there. But Dave does such a good job of making himself seem available and open that just naturally and subconsciously a guard will throw it in there. And I think Brendan's got to do a much better job of that too. We can't just call a play every single time down the floor to get Brendan to post up. There's opportunities within our offense that he has got to take advantage of, especially teams like Murray was switching a lot yesterday. So now you recognize the switch. Now you've got to roll your guy down, big window, show your numbers to the ball, and demand the ball down there. And I think Brendan, that's another area for him to grow into because he's 12 and 6 and it looks great on paper. Go back and watch the film, and he was in this morning, and he allows us to coach him. He takes it. We're on him a lot because of what the value of what he can bring to our team. He can have a superb OVC season because of the skills and the talents that he has. But he's got to command the ball a little bit more, and then he's got to rebound on the other end. Like 6 isn't good enough. I think he gave up at least 4 offensive rebounds. So let's strive to be the best that we can be. Let's not just exist with what is okay at 12 and 6. He should have had a double-double yesterday, if we're being honest. And as coaches, it's never good enough. But Brendan wants that. He was in already this morning watching film, and that's why it gives you belief and hope in what we can ultimately become as a group, because we do have guys that want to learn and want to get coached.
Is it fair to say with Brendan Terry when he was at Pensacola State, they weren't asking him to do what you're asking him to do? So now he's being asked to do something different, and so it's a transitionary process for him. Yeah,
I think so. I think it's a transition for a lot of these guys, but BT especially because, again, like I said, we started him at the center position, like a true center type position, the 5, and now we've kind of slid him over to that power forward with the, Elliott being able to play and do some of the things that he's been able to do for us. So the one thing that the coaches did say at Pensacola when we were recruiting him is that they feel that he always left them wanting a little bit more, and that's what Brendan, and that's what good players, there's always something more, because they show you a little bit of what they got, and then as a coach you're trying to tap into that next level of what they could bring, and Brendan's that way. But it's an adjustment for everybody. It's adjustment for Teddy Washington. It's adjustment for Troy. We had talked about it before. You come in as a guy averaging 28 points and get to move how you move, and then we're seeing it with Braxton right now. Braxton, I told him last night before he got off the bus, it's like, just be patient with yourself. He hasn't clicked yet. But not only did he miss 6 games, Eric, he missed our 30 practice season, when you're really, really practicing and putting everything in. And so now as we've gone on, and BJ and Rob and Teddy and Troy and now you're adding Braxton into that mix, and everything was working and clicking against UMKC, and it looked great and fantastic. Now, that was just that was at home. That was his first game, all that type of stuff. So the energy was right, and all of our team's energy was right, and we were really good defensively. Now he's got to be patient with himself, because interjecting into that, it's going to take a little bit more time. That doesn't mean that we still can't be competitive or we just wait for Braxton to come along, but all these guys continuing to gel as a team. And then for us, Marquez Bell out. TJ didn't get a ton of minutes. Saxton hasn't gotten a lot of minutes. And so, again, we've got to find that top 9 guys that are really dependable and can be counted on, and Braxton's going to be one of those guys. But it's going to take a little bit more time for him as well.
So Teddy Washington is now at the top of every team's scouting report. We talked about that before the Lipscomb game. What are you seeing that they're doing maybe differently now than maybe at the start of the season for Teddy Washington?
I think the thing that with Teddy is Teddy can sometimes be his own worst enemy. And what I mean by that is the game is, I don't want to say easy for him. He would say it's easy for him. But sometimes you overthink some things and then start to dribble too much. And Teddy's got to understand that really good players, once you've taken 1, 2, 3 dribbles, that 4th, 5th, 6th dribble, it's not happening. When you're a good player, now some other players may get away with it because people will leave you one-on-one. But a player to his caliber and what he's done so far, and when people go back and watch film, is they're not going to let him take more than 1 to 2 dribbles without sending some help from somewhere else. And so I see him just putting himself he's pressing a little bit too much, trying to do too much. But that's, again, learning how the game is going to go for you. And I think that when he keeps it simple, when he dominates simple, when he uses 1, 2 dribbles, because he's got a burst and he's got shiftiness. He's very, very hard to guard. But when you're dribbling in one spot, there's only one thing that you can do, and that's continue to dribble or pick it up. And so to be able to play in 1 to 2 dribbles, be able to play in small spaces and still get your shot off, that's when he's most effective. So I think he's putting a little bit too much on himself to try to create, and you're not going to be able to create a player his caliber with that many dribbles after things break down. So we've got to clean up how we screen, how we execute, because, again, the gifts that some of our guards have and talents that they have is their ability to break people down, but that needs to be later in the shot clock after something hasn't worked already. It can't just be after 1 pass or 1 screen.
So there's a reason Murray State has won 28 OVC championships, and that is a very tough place to play, and we talked about it. You have experience going to Murray State because SIU played them a lot, not only when you were a player but also when you were a coach. That's a pretty good series before they even joined the Missouri Valley, Salukis and Murray State. It's one thing for you to kind of tell your team, hey, this is a different type atmosphere, especially when they get rolling. The atmosphere changes, the fan base changes, everybody gets into a lather. You can say that, but until you're there and you see it happen, totally different deal. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so, and I think that even when we went into shoot around with some of the guys that had never been there before, yesterday morning, they was like, "Oh, this is okay. All right, it's going to be a real action, live action tonight." And it's a great game. It's a good series for us. Hopefully, we can continue this in a different kind of a setting. Coach Prohm is great as far as dealing and talking with them and taking and doing the game. So there's a lot of good games, a lot of good regional games for us. Murray's one of them. SIU is one of those.
I bet there are plenty of Red Hawk fans who never thought in their life they would see SEMO get $80,000 to play a basketball game at Murray State University. I mean, just because they were in the, obviously. Now, they started back in the 30s playing each other, and then it stopped in 1959 when Murray State was Ohio Valley Conference. They didn't play for like 33 years until SEMO jumped into the Ohio Valley Conference, and then they're back for the series. But it was always a conference game. I mean, how times have changed now. It's a money game, but for you, what a great money game. I mean, it's 2 hours on the bus. It's an easy drive to Murray, Kentucky. I mean, you take Highway 121. It takes you literally right to their arena. Your hotel is literally across the street from the CFSB Center. That's a good non-conference game for SEMO, right?
It is. And, whether that's whatever the monetary value, $8, whatever. We want to go and compete and play good competition and find out about ourselves and learn. But it's times have changed quite drastically in a short amount of time, and I think we're in another 2-3 year window to where it's going to continue to be somewhat unknown as we navigate everything and the way it works. But the other piece of it, talking about Murray, talking about SIU, and you see it with the college football playoff as well, just non-con. How much do you overload your schedule? How much does that help? How much does it hurt? My thing with Murray, SIU, is we got to get those people back to the Show Me Center too, though, and that can't just be that you get to pick and choose when we come to you and then you come to us. At some point you have to come over here and play too. If we're so bad that we're not good enough to play then why wouldn't you just come play and beat us then if it's that easy? We had 2 shots to beat SIU at home since I've been here, and we missed both of those. So we've been competitive at home. We have not been as competitive at Murray until this year, until that little piece. But my thing is to get some guys back here at the Show Me Center. We can't just be that team that people just call up anytime they want to come play a game and we go to their place. We got to get some of that back too, because I know it hasn't been particularly the records that we've wanted over the past 4 years or so, but we are competitive. We've had the highest net that we've had here in a long time. We have gone to the NCAA tournament for the first time in 23 years here, so we've made some progress. We're continuing to make progress, and we got to get some of those people back home because we deserve that. Our players deserve that, and our fans deserve that as well.
What I thought was interesting when you and I were talking before the game yesterday, you said, I probably made a little mistake with how much we traveled last year because, you've got to play money games, and there is a certain number that you need to play, for this university. And you kind of said, maybe I went about it the wrong way last year, and I hadn't thought about that, but it made sense with the way that you phrased it.
Yeah, and I learned from Coach Weber, you always try to give the guys an experience. I think our guys enjoy some of those games. They're competitors. They want to go play.
They had to enjoy Grand Canyon.
Yeah, and so that was where. We've done some things in the past, and we've won. If you want to say, Central Arkansas gave us some money to play their MTE, so I guess that counts as a bye win. And we beat South Florida, we've beaten Missouri State, so we've won some bye games since I've been here, 3 games. And but you try to give the guys an experience. So going to Florida, a lot of our guys had never been to Florida. Going to California, that was Coach Ray. They had already had that on the books, and then COVID happened, so that was a pause year for that, and then to come back the year after that. So we've gone to California. So many guys had never been to California or even Santa Monica, so you're trying to give them an experience.
Or Phoenix.
And then so that's where Grand Canyon came in. Of course, we go to the NCAA tournament, and we brought back 6 of those guys from that team. So we're feeling, oh, yeah, we're good. And I wanted to go right out of the chute with that environment. They were an NCAA tournament team. It's like, all right, let's see how good we are. And we found out we weren't very good right away. But then coming back from that travel, then we bus over to Indianapolis. And that may not seem far, but now we're at Butler. It's a 5-hour bus ride. It's not getting there that gets you. It's when you come back. It's when you get back at 2:30 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning. And it sent you back the next day. And then we traveled to Kansas City, another 5. Doesn't seem like it's far, but 5.5 hours. That game was at 7:30. It was raining. We got home at, I think, 3:30 in the morning that next day. So it's really the travel, the compound effect over it that just wears you out a little bit. So going into this year was like, Vanderbilt, 3.5 hours, great game. Murray, 2 hours. Bradley, 4.5 hours opening night. So we kept it a little bit more regional, and still were very, very good games.
And it just kind of a fluky deal with Lipscomb that it was an 11 a.m. game. I mean, we talked about the women in their classroom on the court game. That's what Lipscomb had. So these last 2 trips, you're getting back at an actual reasonable hour.
Yeah, and it's, the Lipscomb game was, again, we've talked about it, like Coach Cuff. I really enjoy him, and I respect him a ton. And there's other games that we tried to get, and people didn't take them. And at the end of the day, you got to play who's going to play you too. And I think that's a good series. That's a great team. It's a great program. It's an easy trip. And when he said, hey, do you mind playing this game at 11? This was after we had already agreed on the home and home, and you're kind of talking some times. And I was like, you know what? Why wouldn't we play on a Thursday at 11? And quite honestly, I'm thinking if there's a chance that they're kind of asleep and not ready to go, this might be the opportunity, but it actually worked the other way. We were the team that was asleep and not ready to go. But they're a very, very good team. They're going to win a lot of games, and it's a good regional game for us to take. And we played them in the COVID year in the home and home, and we beat them in the Show Me Center fairly easily. So to get some of those games back, like I was talking about earlier, that's the main thing, is to get some of those back. And I don't mind going on the road first from time to time, but we need to start some of those at our place too in the future.
All right. You brought up SIU. Does it look like there will be discussions at some point going forward? They got a new coach.
I don't know Coach Nagy very well. I know some of the other people over there that may or may not be his bosses, and things that I've heard that maybe we're not quite good enough. So, but I've got ESPN Plus too, and I think we'd be okay in that game.
I've seen them play. I mean, they're not. I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, you know, they had their hands full with Southern Indiana the other night, right?
Yeah, and that's.
I mean, we're good enough to play them in football, good enough to play them in baseball, good enough to play them in women's basketball. I mean, you just start naming the sports that you don't play SIU in. You play them in every sport but men's basketball. That's it.
And I've got a good friend that was over there, obviously the coach before, and I thought he did a tremendous job, All-American, a Hall of Famer, and you know, the banner that's hanging up there in 07, I was a part of that, and they claim that that's what they want and need, and I guess I'll just say that we've been in the NCAA tournament and they haven't in the last 3 years. So to say that we're not, quote, good enough, yeah, I think we're okay.
So was there any discussion moving forward of a home-and-home with Murray? Are they interested in something like that?
I think that Coach Perone would be interested in that, but again, now it turns into we probably would have to start over there. And that's where it kind of broke off with SIU, even with Coach Mullins. It was like, you all come to us again. And it's just like, and that's what I was saying earlier. I can't just keep going to you all the time because these are 2-year down the line situations. You know, if I keep going starting at your place, I'm not getting those games. I need those games back this year, next season. So again, people that drag their feet, or when I feel it's your turn to come to us based upon how the schedules play out and you don't want to, then I'll go find other games like Lipscomb. You know, because I'm not going to just continue to just do what you want me to do every single time. There's got to be a give and take to that as well. So scheduling is very, very fluid, changes drastically. But when you find good people, not that Murray or SIU's not, I'm not saying that, but like Coach Acuff who say, hey, we'll play, we'll come back to you, here's the dates, does it work? And it's a pretty seamless and easy transaction, if you will. I have to take those games because of the way that works with our schedule as well. And the other thing, Eric, is the dates with the Show Me Center, quite honestly. You know,
yeah.
we can't just play whenever we want to. We could do a whole nother radio show or even start our own podcast if you want on that. I can't let it go, Joe. I'm sorry. There's certain things I can't let go. You can hear the anger in my voice about SIU, and then you start to hear a little bit of it about the availability of our facility.
I don't know. I just don't get the arrogance when, you know, SEMO just waxed him in football, swept him in baseball last year. I mean, you know, SEMO women. Where's their win?
Yep.
SIU, Carbondale.
Yep. So, it's just too good of a regional game. It's too easy. It just makes too much sense. You know what I mean? Take all the other stuff out of it. It just makes too much sense.
All right. We've got Troy Cole Jr. here, Coach. He is from Louisiana. You got him from Highland Community College. Actually played at a couple of different junior colleges, and you brought him in. He has certainly shown a really exciting game. He is very athletic and a very confident basketball player. How about your experience and your first exposure to Troy Cole and recruiting him?
Yeah, Troy was the very first guy in the class that we took. You know, Coach Norman had called Coach Reynolds and says, hey, I got this guy here. And then we pull up some film. We're watching film, and it was like, okay. He's moving a little bit different, and we knew we needed that physicality from a guy. And doing our homework on him, talking to his coaches at Blackburn, and we know his coaches at Highland very well. We actually had a player, Tyrese Bowie, if you remember him, from at SIU, same junior college that Troy was at. So knew those coaches. They coach him well. They tell you the truth about the kid. So just from a personality standpoint and who he was character-wise, all those boxes checked. Coach Reynolds went up and watched him practice and play in a game. I drove up and watched him play in a game, and I'll never forget the first time I met him in person, because we did some Zooms, and then we ultimately ended up offering him pretty early in the process because we weren't going to drag our feet. And someone like him who had worked and worked and worked to prove to get to this level that he was at, because he was unrecruited under-recruited out of high school, under-recruited out of junior college, and so he felt loyalty to us because we took that first chance on him. So first time I met him, I'm sitting in it's a regional tournament, so there was a game before, so that game was terrible. I go out and eating some popcorn in the lobby, and all of a sudden I get a little tap on my shoulder, and I look up, and there's this broad-chested, he was wearing his goggles at the time, full sweat, Korn. And I'm like, and it was the first time I see him in person. I was like, so just seeing him and his body and the physical nature, I was like, let's just get in the truck right now. We got a game in like 3 days. You can come play in our games right now. So I was excited about the physicality and the presence that he brought. Hit a little bit of a lull here before this last week. I think he's finding his niche within our team, and just the energy and the motor. It's something we talk about in our program. Dominate simple, bring joy, bring juice. And when Troy's bringing joy and juice, that's when he's at his best. And again, it's an adjustment. It's adjustment to come from junior college averaging 25, 26 points a game where he had great percentages, played hard, his team won, to coming here and you're not getting as many of those looks. And so finding your way, finding your niche within the team, I think he's done a nice job this last week of doing that and getting back to what really makes him special and what makes him good for our group.
And he shot 40% from three last year at Highland.
Yeah, and I think that's just a matter of time, and he's gonna shoot the ball for us. Now, the thing with Troy, I always give one little jab at these guys. He's got to get an assist for us at some point this year. He does not have an assist on the season. So
wow.
When we talk about over-dribbling and paint touches, I expect that maybe from David Idata, and I think my man Mason Handback's got an assist, but my guy Troy's got to get us an assist at some point, Eric. Woo.
All right, we won't mention that to Troy. Don't anybody say we were talking about the fact that he did not have an assist. He is here, and Troy Cole Jr. is going to join us when we come back. It's the Redhawks Coaches Show. We're at Wings and Cape in SEMO ESPN Radio. Welcome back to the Redhawks Coaches Show at Wings Etc. in Cape Girardeau. Did you know that there are over 70 items on this massive Wings Etc. menu? If you have not been here, now if you have been here, you know. If you have not, they have a massive menu, and that includes their burger menu. I mean, you name the burger. My favorite is the Hugh Jazz. That's the biggest one they've got. Hugh, H-U-E, Jazz, J-A-Z-E, the Hugh Jazz burger. And double patties. They've got the mushroom diner burger. I mean, you name it, they've got it here at Wings Etc. And if you like the chicken, obviously they've got terrific bone-in wings, boneless wings, and in a case like Troy Cole Jr., if you are a seafood person, they have seafood, because that's what you got. Tell us what you got for lunch.
12-piece combo shrimp.
The 12-piece combo shrimp. Now, you're from Louisiana, so shrimp, that's kind of an institution down in your neck of the woods, right?
Yes, sir.
See, I'm a big shrimp guy, too. I was in the Navy and stationed in Key West, Florida. We would wait in the afternoons when the shrimp boats would come in, and then we would go down to the docks, and they'd get them clean, and we would get multiple pounds and then have these shrimp boils. And you're eating the shrimp, and you're like, man, this thing was alive like 2 hours ago or an hour and a half ago. This was a live shrimp. It can't get any fresher than that. So you went with the shrimp. Tell us about growing up in Louisiana. Now, you're from Donaldsonville, so I had to do a little Google research, but that's a suburb of Baton Rouge, right?
Yes, sir. Like an hour, 50 minutes away.
Okay, tell us about growing up there.
One of a kind, small town. A little bit smaller than Cape Girardeau, but
I looked at the population, 6,600.
I don't know about that. It's a little bit more.
They're more than that.
Less.
Oh, less than that.
Yeah, a little bit less.
Oh, they're making you sound like a big metropolis, right?
Yeah.
So they've got parishes down there. Explain that. That's kind of an odd. We don't use the term parish in Missouri, and that's kind of what they refer to as what down in Louisiana.
So parish is almost the same thing as counties. So we just got like multiple. It's just something we use to describe, because we got like smaller cities within the parishes.
So the parish is a county then. All right. The LSU Tigers are an institution down there. Did you grow up a Tiger fan?
No.
All right. We got to hear what. Who'd you root for growing up?
My dad was a Duke fan. All I did was growing up watching Duke, so I'm a Duke fan for basketball.
All right. Well, then your dad probably became a Duke fan when Christian Laettner was there and Bobby Hurley was there and Grant Hill was there. That's a generation before you, but they were really good back then. So you're a Duke fan then?
Yes, sir, a little bit.
What do you think about Cooper Flagg? How good's that guy?
Dog, still young, still got a lot to develop, but he's a dog.
17 years old, man. That's hard to believe that he's as good as he is, and he's not even 18. He can't even vote. I mean, what's that?
Troy's birthday was yesterday.
Oh, yesterday. All right.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Now, hold on. December 8th, so that means 21.
Yes, sir.
So not only can you vote, but I think you can rent a car now at 21, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, or maybe you can get a frosty beverage here at Wings, etc., as long as Coach doesn't know about it.
No.
So Highland Community College. Now, you and I were talking, and when I first saw that you were from Highland, when they recruited you, my first thought was, okay, which Highland is it? Because there's one up in the Chicago area, and then there's one in Kansas, and you're from the one in Illinois.
Yeah.
How about that? Had you ever been to Chicago prior to going to Highland?
It's crazy. I only been to Chicago only for basketball purpose. Like, just going on, like, free time, I never been.
What are your impressions of Chicago as a city?
Huge. Big. We played Kennedy King and Malcolm X. It was like driving around the city, it's just like buildings, like big old buildings.
So the biggest city in Louisiana, I'm guessing, is New Orleans?
New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even close. I mean, yeah. Now, have you been to Mardi Gras?
Unfortunately, no. Since I've been in college, I've been dealing with basketball the whole time.
Okay, I understand. So it is a very unique city. We've been down there to play basketball. I'd probably say we've been in New Orleans 4 or 5 times for basketball. Tulane is down there. The University of New Orleans. SEMO's played basketball down there. Baseball, they played at Tulane and the University of New Orleans. How about the city of New Orleans? What are your thoughts there?
One of a kind. Tradition is crazy. The Mardi Gras, from like the food, the Creole, like, it's different.
Well, the one thing about New Orleans that I like a lot of the accents from the people down in Louisiana. It's a completely different accent, right? You could probably tell right away if somebody's from Louisiana.
Yeah. So, like, up here in the Midwest, y'all call, like, soda products like pops. We call them cold drinks.
Cool drinks.
Cold drinks.
Cold drinks. That is so funny you say that, because one of our servers was in here a little while ago, and she was talking to one of the customers and said, "Would you like a pop with that?" And Joe Hobbs, I mean, this is the owner of the pop. What are you talking about? He had never even heard that. Now, I grew up in Illinois, and that's what we called it, was pop. So they refer to it as cold drinks down in Louisiana. Now, for anybody that will meet you, you have braces, which is unusual at age 21. I had adult braces, so I know it's a completely different thing than when you normally kids get them or teenagers get the braces. How does that work with your orthodontist being down in Louisiana?
Rough. My last appointment was during the summer. Right now I'm struggling. I need an adjustment ASAP. So, like, whenever our Christmas break come, that's the first person I'm seeing when I touch down.
So you're already working on getting an orthodontist appointment.
Yes, sir.
All right. When I was an adult with the braces, somebody that has to talk and like broadcast a 3.5-hour football game. You're talking, and your lips are rubbing against those braces. I used to have to just coat the wax around the braces. You ever use the wax?
Since I had them, no.
Okay.
Nah.
How about headgear?
Nah. No headgear.
No headgear either.
Nah.
All right. What were your thoughts when it was determined, yep, you're going to need braces?
I was actually excited. I was in 8th grade when my mom told me. She called me out of school and got me and went to New Orleans to get my braces put on.
All right. Did they give you the business, any of your teammates? Because when you're a kid, it's brace face and metal mouth and all that stuff. But
they had called me train track.
Okay, train track. Well, you're 6'5", 200. You probably are not getting teased a lot about your braces. Mm-hmm. All right, first time now you were talking about meeting, or at least Coach was talking about the first time that he met you. How surprised were you when he stood up and he's 6'9"? Did you know he was that tall before you met him?
So he was recruiting one of my teammates, Ramin Hinton, at one point, and Ramin told me, like, he's tall. Like, he's tall. I'm like, I'm going to have to see when he comes. So when he came, and I came out when he saw me, I was coming from downstairs in the weight room. I was getting, like, a sweat in. And I went up to him, I'm like, he got long legs. And so when he stood up, I was like, no way.
But the interesting thing is, I think he's got some sort of a complex about not wanting to be the tallest guy. That's why all the 7-footers on the roster. How about that? Could you believe that you're on a roster with 3 guys that are 7 feet tall?
Yeah, that's unbelievable. This is my first time ever being on the team with multiple 7-footers.
And they've signed another 7-footer for a guy down the road, Trace Sadler. Have you met him?
Yes, sir.
All right, tell us about Trace.
Humble kid. He's just ready to work. All I see is basketball highlights on his media. Talked to him the other day. He's just ready to work.
All right, now, Highland was your second junior college. Now, that's in Freeport, Illinois. You attended another junior college in Carlinville, Illinois, Blackburn College. What was that like? What was being at Blackburn like?
Coming from high school, first year out of state, like 11 hours away from home. Had to adjust real fast. It was different. I was ready to leave because I didn't like being nowhere near home. But going Division III, having to pay for like your books and sports, you had to buy like your own gear. It was rough on my mom. So that kind of made me put it on my back and then play even harder, my motivation.
And then at Highland, that changed, right?
It ain't changed. I was still hungry.
Oh, hungry.
I was ready to. That was my motivation still. I still had to pay for, I had a full ride, but I'm not going to go D1, so I wasn't satisfied, and I'm still not satisfied.
Well, you got the shrimp, so I mean that's a step in the right direction. So at Highland, you were the man. I mean, you were the leading scorer, 17 a game. You had a 29-point game while you were there. It was 29 double-figure scoring games last year. I mean, when they needed a bucket, you were the guy. Tell us about that.
I started off rough at Highland, a little rough. Not getting many minutes. And then it was almost like an adjustment thing. Had to get used to physicality. They played different. So I woke up around this time, kind of deja vu. Woke up around this time, and that's when I started going crazy, started playing. I actually come to my sense like, okay, I can hang with everybody. I started playing the way I'm supposed to. So.
See, I think that's interesting also when you're talking about being away from home. Some people think, boy, these are big, tough athletes. Homesickness is a real thing. Tell us about that.
Honestly, I can't tell you too much about it because I don't get homesick for real.
So you weren't homesick at Blackburn?
Nah.
Oh, okay. Well, we can always ask Coach about it, but there are guys. I mean, I've seen guys that they decide that they're just going to go back home. I mean, homesick. You've probably been around guys who are away from home for the first time that it's a tough transition.
Yeah.
How about your family? Are they able to how long of a trip is it to come up here and watch you play?
8 hours. So they plan on making a trip soon. They keep asking me what my game's looking like. So eventually, hopefully, they come to one of the games.
All right. Are you talking to Coach? We need to get New Orleans on the schedule. We need to get Tulane on the schedule. We need to get back down to Louisiana.
Whatever coach put on the schedule, I'm ready. It don't matter.
So that would be a no. I want to ask you this. At Highland, you were an excellent free throw shooter, 81%. You went into the Murray game, 57% from the free throw line. What's going on?
Nothing. Just mentally. It's just more mental. You just got to wake up, knock down a free throw. Ain't nothing I can really say. Just got to make them.
So when you are working on free throws, I know oftentimes, they come at the end of practice. You want to simulate fatigue in a game because, games are decided late and oftentimes are decided from the free throw line. How many free throws you get up a day?
Almost 200, really. I shoot 100 before I actually start the workout, and I shoot another 100 right after. So 200.
All right. And how many shots do you get up a day?
I got to make 600 altogether, mid-range and threes. So calculating that, and I'll probably get extra shots up, so almost like 1,000 shots a day.
Tell everybody when we say the shooting gun, what we're talking about.
Shooting machine, rebounds for us. We shoot it, and the ball just keep coming back, keep shooting back at us, and we get our shots up. So that's how we get our repetition and shots up more.
So who's your shot partner when the gun is not available?
Sam Bledsoe, one of our coaches / managers. BJ Ward, Braxton Stagger.
All right, who's the best shooter on the team?
Me.
All right.
I mean, I'm me for sure. I may not be shooting at a high clip, but I know for sure it's me.
So did Sam? And I saw him play in high school at Charleston. He was a pretty good three-point shooter. Does he get out there and shoot? Does he still shoot the three well? Because he did at Charleston. Yeah, that's a quick no. It appears.
I don't know.
Looks like it's a quick no. All right. So the Donaldsonville Tigers. That was where you played high school basketball. How good were you guys in high school? Tell us about some of your favorite moments playing for Donaldsonville.
My favorite moment was probably because I had transferred from a private school to go to Donaldsonville for more competition, higher level. Because I was at a 1A school, so everyone was like, oh, he ain't playing nobody, it's nothing. So I went to 3A. And
how many classes are there in Louisiana?
A few.
Okay. All right. I didn't know if you knew it.
It's 5A. It only goes to 5A, though.
Okay, so it's 5A. Yeah. Okay, so you're at a 3A, so that's
somewhat better.
Right.
But I still wasn't happy because I could have went to East Ascension. It was like cross the river, across the bridge from us. It was a 5A school, but I didn't want to deal with too much of my eligibility, so I was already dealing with eligibility when I was transferring. So beginning of the year, I didn't know if I was going to be eligible to play or not. So waiting for the season to start, football came around. I didn't find out anything basketball. That's when I found out, okay, you're eligible to play. So my very first game, I had a double-double, and I was like, okay, yeah, I felt it. And then probably my favorite moment was when I got my first triple-double. It was like the fourth game of the season against Salmon. I had 20, 10, and 10.
Assists?
Rebounds and assists.
Because the big guys, sometimes it's points, rebounds, and blocks. A guy like Elliot Loundis, man, I mean, if he gets a triple-double, block shots are going to be in the mix.
Yeah. I had a few. I think I had like one or two. Wasn't nothing too crazy. But the icing on the cake for my senior year was when we played in semifinals in McNeese Stadium for my final game of my career in high school. That was nice. We lost, but it was a good experience.
So you weren't just a good football player, you were an MVP on your football team as a running back. Tell us about that.
Fix that, running back, wide receiver. But
okay, wide receiver.
At my private school, it was Central Catholic High. I was a former 3-star recruit. I had interest from LSU, Florida State, UAL, a few colleges.
Did you just love basketball more?
Nah, honestly, I really love football more. But when I transferred schools, it was like the issue within like the football team. I didn't like it, so it was like I'm gonna just focus on basketball. So that's why I changed my mind. I'm gonna just hoop.
All right. So, but I'm sure you still root.
Yeah.
You still like football.
Yeah, I ain't tell Coach Korn as I've been telling some of the players I might go try out for the football team.
Hey, now, Coach Tuke loves the big wide receivers, man. I mean, he's 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". He's got big wideouts. He love you.
Yes, sir.
All right. So you grew up a Duke fan. Nobody is a Duke football fan, so there's no way you rooted for Duke in football. Who'd you follow in football?
Ohio State.
Ohio State. How about that? Now, how did that come about? Your dad like Ohio State?
No, it was Braxton Miller. I liked him when he went from quarterback to wide receiver. He was just playing all over. That was kind of like the guy I looked at when it came down to sports. So.
All right, so you think the Buckeyes got a shot at the national championship? I mean, if you're still alive, you're in this field of 12. And you look, their first loss was 1 point at Oregon, and the clock just ran out on them. They just did not play well against Michigan. But, man, when you talk about talent and some of the athletes that they've got, I mean, they regularly are pumping guys into the National Football League. You think Ohio State's got a shot at this thing?
They got a shot, but, man, Oregon we got a few teams in there that's killing right now, so we just got to pick it up.
All right. Rooting for the Buckeyes. And LSU, have you been to a night game at Tiger Stadium?
Yeah.
All right. Tell us about that, because everybody says, man, there is not a tougher place to play in the country than a night game in Baton Rouge.
I was in 7th grade. I don't know if it was 7th, but it was when Leonard Fournette was there. They played Eastern Michigan, and it was a blowout game. And, like, the game is, like, way out of, like, there's no way Eastern Michigan could come back. And, like, the fans are still cheering, crowd going crazy. Like, it got to a point to where, like, the ground started shaking. Yeah.
Different experience.
Yeah.
All right. What are your thoughts here? You got one more game. It's finals week, so, Coach certainly talking about everybody focusing on finals, but one more game before you start conference play, and then it gets real.
We got to go in there straight mindset. We got to be ready. We got to be hungry. Work. Every practice from this point on got to be better. We can't have days that set us back, because when we have days that set us back, that's when it shows in the game that we had bad practices. And I always believe in that bad practices relates to bad games. So you got to be on your P's and Q's, ready to work.
Gonna play like you practice, Troy. It was outstanding, and we wish you a happy belated birthday. And don't celebrate too hard here. And good luck on your finals coming up.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Troy Cole Jr. We will get one more thought here with Coach Brad Korn when we come back. One final timeout. We're back after this on the Redhawks Coaches Show, SEMO ESPN. Troy Cole, appreciate his time. He is heading out. Coach, he was sitting there before the show, and I was asking him, he said he didn't want anything for lunch, so apparently he wasn't hungry. I said, well, are you guys going to practice? So I can understand that, maybe. Yeah. He said, no. I said, now listen, the veteran move here is to get it and take it home, because you're going to be hungry. You may not be hungry now, but it's a free meal. You need to take it home. So he walked out of here with a nice order of the shrimp.
Yeah, that's good for him. He needs to eat.
All right, a couple of guys from Sykeston High School that you have signed. We heard about Trey Sadler from Troy Cole. P.J. Farmer is another one. And, boy, by all of the scouting reports, P.J. Farmer looks like he's got a chance to be a really good Division I player.
Yeah, he does a lot of things well. Coaches, you get tired of hearing them say they impact winning in other ways, but PJ's one of those guys that he does a lot of things.
Now he's a point guard.
He's a point guard, but he's you heard Troy talk about it. He's a dog. The thing I love about PJ is there's just a lot of things that he can do. He'll defend. He'll dive on the floor. He's got great vision. He really throws the ball where it needs to go before the guy gets there. So just watching him in this summer, and of course with with Coach, how they feel down at Sykeston. They're going to have a great senior season, him and Trace both. But even in the AAU scene, his team won. He impacted winning in a lot of different ways. He's tough. He's a winner. Those are the things that I love about him. And the thing about both of those guys, Trace came to the women's game when they played SIU, sat up there with the guys. You hear him talking to Troy, guys on our team now. PJ's around all the time. So not only are they good basketball players, but they really enjoy, love SEMO, and that's very, very important. So you'll go that extra mile, you'll do that extra rep, you'll do that extra set when it's a place that your heart is at. And both those guys, I appreciate them and their families because they really do truly, genuinely enjoy SEMO and are really excited to come here.
Trace Sadler is a 7-footer. Why are you hogging all the 7-footers?
I could say something, but I won't. I won't. Yeah, he's the thing with Trace, Eric, is he moves differently. There's some guys that 7-footers, it's hard for them to. David Haddad, I'm not saying it, but he's not a very up and down vertical type of a 7-footer. Sure. He's more of the brick and mortar type of a 7-footer. So, but Elliott is fluid and he's more of an athletic, mobile guy. Trace is kind of a combination of those things. I think he's going to be able to put on some good size in the weight room once he gets here and gets on our program. And but he's also athletic at the same time. So I'm excited to be able to have him because he's coming in as just a big old ball of clay that we're going to get to form and morph, and because he's going to have to adapt to the physicality of everything and the consistency of everything. We talked about 30 practices with Braxton. He's going to have to go a June and a July and an August and September and an October, and then you hit the games. And so that's going to be the biggest adjustment for him. And it's always an adjustment for big guys, regardless of where you come from. But like I said, when you want to be here and you've been coached like both of those guys have, the learning curve is much quicker.
Is he one of those guys that likes to stand out there and shoot the three like you did?
No.
Okay.
He needs to be in that paint.
All right.
Kind of like Elliott. He's got a nice 15, 17-footer, but can do a lot of good things at the rim. He's got good size, though. I think that's the thing with Trace is he's not a skinny person like me. He may be slender basketball build, but he's got good frame. He's got a good lower half, and he's most of the time, again, 7-footers aren't athletic. So you talk about him and Elliott, athletic 7-footers. That's a different kind of an animal. So now when you got Elliott in there, they're both coming in at good times too, based upon the roster. You'll have David, Brendan, Elliott as seniors, and then him as a freshman. So you talk about an opportunity to come in and learn and not have to have everything thrown on you right away. And same thing with PJ. You're going to have Rob, Braxton, BJ, another good older core group of guys to learn from before you really have to kind of take over. So they can come in and just do what they do, that one thing that they're going to be able to do for our group a year down the line, and then as the season goes, continue to work on those other things and get their feet wet that way. So it works out really well from a roster standpoint. All
right, honest question. When you saw that St. Mary of the Woods was on the schedule, did you know where it was located?
I still don't know where it's located.
St. Mary of the Woods, Indiana. That's the name of the town. I had to Google it myself. So
yeah, we put the schedule together, and again, Coach Jerome helped out with that because that was his scene coming from Huntington. That makes sense then.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't know Crowley's Ridge was that close, or I don't even think I say that right. But
Crowley's,
Crowley's.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
St. Mary of the Woods. They're the Pomeroys. So
whatever that is.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Coach. We'll be back here next Monday. You are off this week for finals, and it'll be a Sunday 2:00 game. And what's that? Going to be the fourth Sunday game? I mean, this is a Sunday season.
Yeah, and then we'll have even another one after Christmas after that. So it's just kind of the way the schedule worked out again with finals. Obviously, we use the Show Me Center for commencement, so that'll be a great day for a lot of people. And yeah, we've had a lot of Sunday games, and 4 games to finish out 2024, Eric. And if we take care of business, it could be a really, really nice way to head into the new year, and 2 conference games, and hopefully get 2 conference. That'd be a big deal to start the conference play 2-0. So I got to take care of St. Mary's of the Woods or William Woods on Sunday. But it's more about us and making sure we're right more so than it is necessarily about the opponent.
William Woods, Columbia, Missouri, by the way. Just throwing it out there. All right. No show for the next 3 weeks, so we will say hello to you on Sunday. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
All right. Sounds good, Eric. Thank you.
That's the Redhawks head coach. Thanks again to Troy Cole, Tommy Dawson, and Rachel Cook here for River Radio. Stay tuned. We'll get you back into regular programming. Don't forget, Monday Night Football tonight. You can watch it here at Wings, the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow against the Dallas Cowboys. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, everybody. So long from Wings, etc.